Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I just started to listen to the first episode of the Khan audio drama, and I switched it off and I'm not watching the rest of it. It's a really ugly attempt at vilifying Captain Kirk, which is just bizarre. Now, I understand in the real world there are a lot of heroes and people who are canonized and glorified when really they were bad people. And there is a movement to uncover the truth behind all these legends and so forth and expose the ones who were bad people. And I don't have a problem with that. So, yeah, but this is a fictional character who doesn't have any secrets. They created a story to vilify Captain Kirk. In the new Khan audio drama, basically what they're suggesting is that Captain Kirk knew that SETI Alpha 6 was going to explode, that it was unstable, and that he was basically giving Khan and his people a death sentence, and Marla MacGyver's, of course. So that's just disgusting and offensive. And now I don't like William Shatner. He was a jerk. I met him in person. He's horrible. He's a career narcissist. But Captain Kirk is a great character, and he doesn't have any skeletons in his closet, nothing to be exposed. So this weird pseudo-fictional revisionist history of this character is just unnecessary. There is this need to make these straight white male legacy legend people into bad guys. It's something in the mentality of these people. They just have to do it. And I understand that in the real world there are these examples. But this is a fictional character that they've made bad just because they want him to be bad. Because I can't. So I think the whole thing, I think it's 9 chapters, 9 episodes, was released on some platform. And the first episode is on YouTube, which often they do. They put the first episode on YouTube to try and get you interested, so then you go pay for the rest of the series. I'm not doing that. I haven't paid for New Trek. I'm not going to. But I started to listen to it, and yeah, it's a woman petitioning Starfleet to basically allow her to go on a mission to uncover the hidden logs of Khan. And they're attempting to humanize Khan and make him the victim and make Captain Kirk the bad guy. To make Kirk the colonizer and Khan, the minority victim. And it's so obvious that that's what they're doing, and it's just really basic and being done. And the people who are MAGAs and bigots and chuds and all that, this is just giving them exactly what they want, because you're being the stereotype that they are putting out there. That all the sort of, lefties and wokey wokes are all just trying to tear down modern mythology and white men and all that. And that's exactly what they're doing with Captain Kirk. And I'm like, oh my God. So I can kind of understand how this happened, because the story is from Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer never got Star Trek. He started the downfall of Star Trek with Wrath of Khan because he didn't get Star Trek. He watched the whole of Star Trek, the whole 80 episodes, and all he got out of it was, oh, this Khan character is kind of really bad, like Darth Vader. What if he came back for Kirk? And he gave us like this Star Wars story where it's basically just a bad guy out for revenge and the goodies sort of having to fight them and win. And they put it down on that level. They took the science fiction out of it, took the intelligence out of it, and just made it about, the goodies versus the bad guys. And, people, the general public, got it and said, oh, that's what Star Trek is. It's Star Wars, but in our universe and our future, our galaxy, our future. That's what it is. Okay, now we get it. And that kind of ruined Star Trek, because then all the Star Trek films and eventually the Star Trek series all became about just being like Star Wars and giving, audiences like a villain to, see the characters, win against. And that's all Star Trek has become now. It used to be a science fiction story. Then they made that the A story in the Next Generation era after Gene Roddenberry got Star Trek back and sort of pulled it out of the militarization and all the mess that Nicholas Meyer did to it. He made Star Trek Next Generation pure again for about 2 years before he got sick, and then other people took over, and they inserted a generic science fantasy melodrama style story, B story into each story. So you had the A story, which was the main science fiction story, and the B story was the smaller, more generic one. And that sort of worked for years with Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, because dumb people could watch the melodrama and the smart people could watch the science fiction story. So everyone could watch Star Trek, so that's why it had a broader appeal. By the time they got to Discovery, they threw out the A story and it's all B story. And that has appealed to a small audience of science fantasy fans who don't like Star Trek and never like Star Trek and aren't Star Trek fans. But it sort of alienated real Star Trek fans. So that's why we are where we are. So it started with Nicholas Meyer creating this sort of base melodrama story with this Khan villain. And then Gene Roddenberry coming back, replacing that with real Star Trek again. And then other people coming in and inserting Nicholas Meyer's B story in and keeping the A story and kind of balancing them. So for a while there was a balancing act between the general audience and Star Trek fans who could both watch Star Trek. And now it's just one very limited audience. So Discovery and New Trek does have an audience. It's just